Larcenauts came out June 17th. I've had a key for about a week now, and I've played about 3.3 hours, and I won't lie to you, I've had to force myself to get that far, mainly for the sake of footage. Why? Well, I'll explain my issues with the game in due time. Before I get into it though, remember to subscribe to keep up to date, and comment like or dislike as it helps out the channel. Larcenauts is a hero shooter. Its core design is built on 3 different 6v6 game modes over 4 maps with 8 heroes to choose from. Every hero is fully voiced and has their own unique abilities and weapons. To break down the 3 game modes, they consist of Team Deathmatch, Refuel, where you have to hold 3 points of the map, each second you hold it gives points towards your team, reach the winning point threshold, and good game, your team wins. And Uplink, where you must fight over a drone to pick it up, and then take it to the designated uplink point, again reach the point threshold, and your team wins. Now so far, that sounds great. There aren't any big hero shooters in VR, so it's basically got no real competitors, and I will say it looks and sounds great, and I won't deny the quality is pretty to look at, but that's pretty much where my enjoyment of the game ended. And for me to say that is a surprise to myself, as I've been watching this game for months, and I really wanted to enjoy this game. And maybe that's why it's so frustrating that I'm making a video that criticizes it. The issues with this game for me start at the very base of it, the tutorial. It's an okay tutorial and it explains the basics, but you cannot try out heroes unless you own them, which is really annoying as you might just want to see if they fit your playstyle, but instead you have to buy them and hope that you like them. This leads nicely into my second issue with the game, which is why in a hero shooter with 8 heroes at launch, do you only start with 1 hero? Granted, yes, you do have a high chance of getting another with the free loot box you get at the start, but again, it's a hero shooter that only gives you up to 2 people to choose from, at least for the first few hours of gameplay, which for a game genre based around teamwork, makes it pretty hard to actually fit around a team if you need a tank or utility, when you only have Kalima, or at best, Kalima, and 1 other hero. To top that off, you cannot straight up buy the hero you want next, you have to hope they are in your shop in the lobby area. If not, there is no other way to own them, either RNG in a loot box, or RNG in the store and hope you have enough currency to buy them. Staying on the subject of heroes, you can actually level them up. I wouldn't have an issue with this if this was more a cosmetic thing, but you can unlock various loadouts and something called power slates. Power slates give you the option to make your hero more powerful in various ways. For example, I can make Evander, who is like a sniper / utility hero, have less damage drop off with his sniper rifle. I can make him run faster, or I can make it so his overcharge ability has more reserves. The overcharge thing is basically if you hold your weapon with 2 hands and hold the left trigger, it will do more damage and potentially change the way it fires or what it fires for more damage, but I'll come back to this later. But for a game that I assume wants to be balanced and fair to new and vet players, why can someone who plays for 10 hours versus someone who is new potentially do more damage? To me, it makes no sense at all. If it was all unlocked for everyone, then it would be more fair as you could pick and choose to fit your playstyle, but this puts it into the more new player disadvantage category. Now moving back to the overcharge ability, this even on its own is also a bad bit of game design, because how do you earn that overcharge ability, you may ask? By getting points, aka killing or doing damage to get assists mostly. Why is that bad? Because you end up with a cycle of someone killing, doing more damage because of the overcharge, leading to them getting more kills, and then them getting more overcharged for it to then go on and get them more kills. Watch this clip for example. I'm playing Thal, who is supposedly a tank and has fairly high amount of HP, and I barely get half a second or so to turn to my left before I just get deleted. Like, I'm sorry, but if I'm supposedly a tanky hero who can't even turn before dying to overcharge, why bother having tanks? It's basically a VR Twitch shooter at that point. I thought that Rainbow Six Siege had a fairly low time to kill, but overcharged weapons may actually be lower. You may wonder, doesn't that just mean that the enemy player is a good player? Yes and no. Why yes and no? Because there's no matchmaking, so you could have the best player in the game and their friends, because you can have a full stack versus randoms, versus 6 random people who have just started playing. This will probably never happen, but it would be possible with the current system, which again, in terms of balance, is just going to make new people quit the lobby, same as it made me quit a few lobbies, because it's just not fun to learn the game against someone who clearly has many hours. As you can see from my clip here, this is just one example of the games I played where the score difference was absolutely miles apart. This has happened in a few of my games where I just quit afterwards, as it's not fun to attempt to learn the game in that way. I've had people in the Larcenauts Discord say, why don't you join a stack or join up with people to play together? And while I agree that may partly solve the issue, you should not make a game with the requirement to play in a stack to actually have some enjoyment with it. If you cannot play solo without a risk of severe imbalance, something is fundamentally wrong with that game. Overall, this made Larcenauts a very frustrating game to try and play. I would usually play maybe 5 or so hours to learn a multiplayer game like this, and then record some footage. But I never even made it to 5 hours because of the various systems in place, or not in place, like matchmaking. So just to relist these issues quickly, the heroes are locked behind an RNG store or loot box, limiting you to up to 2 heroes at the start. To get more, you must be lucky to have them within the 9 slots of the store, or in the boxes that you get, and hope that you actually want the ones that you do get. There is a built-in disadvantage for new players joining a game with veterans via power slates and loadouts that will only grow over time. Overcharge is a glaring issue for the same reason, as vets will seal club repeatedly due to Overcharge being very powerful. No matchmaking means teams can be very imbalanced and stacks can play against randoms, which leads to stomp games. And this is before getting into any hero-specific balancing issues, and trust me, there are balancing issues that are hero-specific. Looking at you, VOD and Chi combo. These issues listed separately would not be that big of a deal, but together, to me at least, they are a big issue. And these reasons alone are just that annoying that I cannot recommend the game. Larcenauts is £23.79 or $29.99, but it feels, in terms of balance and design, like early access at finished indie game pricing. The whole premise behind most hero shooters in recent years has been fun, teamwork-based gameplay between 2 teams over objectives on a map. Larcenauts, however, limits your team play off the bat via locked heroes. It doesn't really promote the team play aspect, and then makes it so that if someone has Overcharge, you being a tank is completely irrelevant, as it deals that much damage, you will die in a second unless you have 360 vision. I want this game to get better over time, but based on the Steam stats, the launch did not go well. Unsure what the numbers are on Oculus, but the first steps towards this game being actually playable for me would be all the heroes being unlocked in the shop should be cosmetics only. The same thing goes for power slates and loadouts. Everyone should get every slate and loadout from day 1 to allow them to just make it fit their playstyle rather than hiding it behind grind. These 2 steps alone would allow for instant team play for new players, allowing everybody to swap if needed, and also be on level footing with veteran players with the power slates and loadouts. Overcharge should be changed to be earned over time, almost like an ultimate ability. You could grant a small cooldown reduction per kill or assist, or objective point to keep it teamplay based. You could also split the charge time into multiple categories like offense, defense, utility, to further balance how much impact each hero has with their overcharge ability, and massively reduce seal clubbing in the process, while also making it much more tactical in use, rather than cheesing overcharge kills. And finally, but most importantly, get some matchmaking system up rather than matches being largely seal clubbing or stomps. It's extremely boring to be on either side of a stomp match. Close games of any genre are some of the most fun games you will ever have, period. This ended up as more of a critique than a review, so apologies for that, but honestly, the irritations of this game massively outweigh any importance of the good parts, as I feel they need to be addressed quickly, or the game will just free fall into obscurity or end up another Oculus exclusive, which is bad for both the game and the VR community. If this game decided to launch into early access, I think it would have fared better, as you could forgive some of these issues a little easier, and it would have shown players that they should expect issues. However, as a fully released product, it now has to carry these issues that, in my opinion, should have been spotted a lot earlier, as they shine through as soon as you start playing. But I think that pretty much wraps things up. Sorry again that it's been a rather negative video, but I feel it needed to be said, as it had so much potential and yet seems to have just fallen flat despite looking and sounding great. But with that said, I will see you for the next video.